What is up, y'all? I'm Dr. A. Gorman, physical therapist, founder of Engage Movement, and I am joined by one of my amazing clients, Erin Short from Short PT and Performance in Chicago. And we are, swear, unintentionally matching colors today. So just for anybody out there that's like, he must color coordinate when he does interviews with clients. No, we are unintentionally matching colors. But Erin is an awesome, amazing story that I'm excited to share with you guys. And she's just had so much success in a very short period of time, which is always really fun. So, Erin, thank you so much for joining us. And tell us a little bit about you, about how you got here, and let's start the convo there.
Okay, awesome. Well, thanks so much for speaking with me. I feel really honored that you asked to chat with me.
Yeah.
I really feel like I owe many thanks to you and you helping me start off.
Yeah.
Um, so a little bit about kind of my journey. I have been a physical therapist for 10 years. I first started off working for like a bigger kind of corporation company where I worked my way into a management role and I was there for 6 years. And then it was great, learned a lot. I then started working for a private practice where we worked with clients one-on-one, and we're working with a higher level population of people or athletes. And that
Yeah.
was the first time I really kind of had that experience of really getting that individual like time with people.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed it. However, as I was, working in that setting, I just saw that I had potential to kind of like go out and do this on my own.
Yeah.
And there are a couple of things with my other position that I was just really feeling burned out. At this private practice, I was seeing 40 people a week, which was just a lot. And I was
40,
really,
40 one-on-one is no
it
joke.
was exhausting. And
Yeah.
I am someone like I put a lot of time and energy and effort into
Yeah.
the people I work with, and it was exhausting. I was also doing a lot of like programming for people where I would
N-
like,
And not being compensated for the programming, it was included
yeah.
in the expectation of the visit of the journey. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was also a lot of work because once again, like I would put a lot of effort, like weekends, time, communicating.
Yeah.
And it was a lot. It got to be a
Yeah.
lot. And I started to see a little bit more and more um like this potential that I had. And I actually want to give a big shout out to like my husband. He was someone who always kind of said, like, Erin, I think you can go out on your own. And I was
Yeah.
like afraid. I honestly was afraid. I laugh now because when I was in PT school, I went to WashU and I have wonderful things to say about that program. And I remember and if any WashU professors are watching this, they can like shake their head. The last semester we had this class that was like basically how to build a business.
Yeah.
And I specifically remember like not paying attention like at all. I was like, I'm never going to do this. Don't need to worry
Yeah.
about it. So flash forward, I decided to start really thinking about it. And I got your name from a friend of mine. And I really did like when I reached out to you, I didn't really know anything about building a business.
Yeah.
Like I did have some background in working with like some like insurance, like because I'd done some stuff with Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Yeah.
And I should say like I did do some like management, I did do marketing, but like I was really intimidated about what it would look like. And I that's where I'd say like when we first started working together and like you just kind of like gave me a roadmap. Not
Yeah.
only like business wise, but just some ways to even grow my confidence in clinical decision making.
Yeah.
And also kind of learn my value. I think that was one thing
Mm.
I really appreciate as much as I would feel like guilty, like, oh, should I be charging or is it really worth my time? And it's like, yeah, like you know a lot about what you're doing. So I think that's you know, when I met you, I just had so many questions about how to start a business, how to include the remote programming, and
Yeah.
that's where I really felt like I was lucky to meet you.
Well, it's interesting because I think that there are a lot of people who maybe see the role that you were in full time, one-on-one, where a lot of other people in our community are coming in from the other end of the spectrum, right? They're seeing 100 visits a week or whatever it might be, 18, 20 clients in a day. But either way, what I've noticed is you're going to cap out financially in that model. Like,
Yeah.
as a clinician, as somebody who wants to be involved in the treatment side of the business, there is this really like firm cap that you're going to run into. And then there's people that go into management, like you did in your previous role, who are like, but I don't actually want to be a manager. Like,
Yeah.
I want to be a physical therapist. I want to do the things that physical therapists do. But you said something that I think was interesting that I want to kind of pull a thread on a little bit. You said you were really afraid of going out on your own.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I think most people are. I think fear is actually the biggest thing that holds people back, not failure, right? Like fear has prevented more businesses than failure has closed. And so I'm curious for you, like what was going through your head? What were some of the things that you were afraid of that you kind of that we obviously worked through and that you had to kind of put to bed, as like I need to get over this if I'm going to be the woman who starts her business and builds independently. I'm curious about that journey for you.
Yeah. And it's funny you bring that up because I forgot this conversation that we had till just now of when I was like really, I remember talking to you and having reservations about like making the leap and working with you. And I was like, I think I'm going to do it in March.
Mm,
We're like, why are you going to wait till March? And it's really funny because like in March, for example, I like was able to like purchase like a road bike because I had done really well with my
yeah.
business. And that was like one of the things that I was like excited about purchasing.
Yeah.
And so I think the biggest fear for like there's a couple. Like for me, one of them was just right, that fear of like, what if no one follows me? Like, what
Mm,
if I don't make a steady income? Like
hmm.
that was like a huge one.
Yeah.
There's also just a fear too of like trusting yourself, of like, do I have the skills that it takes to manage like financial side and the
Mm,
marketing side, and then also keep up my treatment. And the other thing too is just like that fear of like the unknown, I would say. It's like because like, when you work for someone else, there's that security. And I
steady
think
paycheck. You
there's
know how
been
much
this,
you're gonna make.
and this is the thing that's so interesting, like, because for me, I would say I did have security.
Yeah.
However, like I am able to do so much better financially now.
Yeah.
Which and I didn't know that. Like I didn't 100% know that would
Sure.
happen. But because I did take that risk, like it's kind of a fun situation to be in now because I can control how much kind of I'm making. So
Well,
if
it's funny you say that because I think everybody wants certainty. Like everybody wants to know that like my business is going to work, I'm going to make this much amount of money. And it's like if you want certainty, that's what employment is for. And there's nothing wrong with going down that path. You know exactly what the standard is going to be. You know exactly what your PTO policy is going to be. You know exactly how much money you're going to make, how many clients you're going to need to see to make it. But the thing that I really want to reframe for people and anybody watching this is when you step into business, you have to understand that the uncertainty is actually the part that gives you all of the upside that you're looking for. And so rather than saying, well, I need to be certain that this is going to work, it's like, isn't it fun that we kind of don't know what the outcome is going to be and that we get to control it? We get to manipulate it. We get to figure out how do I skew it to make more money. I always think that's really interesting and something that I've had to reframe where I kind of need a certain level of uncertainty in my life to give me that upside. And I'm wondering if you've kind of noticed that as you've made that shift.
so, I would say I am someone like it's been a change. I'm learning to appreciate it more. I'm definitely someone who enjoys like security. I'm a huge planner. I like seeing like what my schedule is going to be every week. And I think
Yeah.
that's definitely been a change for me. But the one thing that I've grown to kind of enjoy, and this is, I think, for anyone who is also similar of like, I like my plan, I like to know when I'm going to do what. It's like, I kind of like every week, I kind of look at my week and see when I'm having my patients come in, and then there's certain things I know I need to do. Like
Yeah.
I'm really avid like endurance athlete, so I like getting my workouts in. I know I have different social things and different admin time, and I kind of think it's like a puzzle. So you just
Yeah.
kind of like play with it, and then the nice thing about that too is that then you have that flexibility to like move things around as you need to.
Well, and that's something that we did a lot of work on for you over probably like 2-ish months ago, where we were really like trying to figure out your schedule and what your week was going to look like. And you'd be sending me a message and you're like, I think I want to take Thursdays off.
Yeah,
And I'm like, cool. Like, how do you set up your schedule so that you can have Thursdays off and Thursdays can just be like a little bit of work from home. You can do a long workout. I know you're like an avid swimmer, endurance athlete kind of deal. So you need like a big chunk of time to do
I
some of the
do.
training that you want to do. And so talk to me a little bit now about like what's the business kind of look like and what does your schedule kind of look like? How many hours are you working? And just talk to me about kind of the makeup of the business right now that allows you to be able to do all those things.
Sure. So right now, I would say my goal is like 20 to 25 visits a week.
Yeah.
I will say, and this is a good problem to have. I've probably been pushing that a little bit more. And that's part of been like on like one thing I'm learning on me too is like giving a little bit more of like how like what's my capacity for taking new
Yeah.
clients on. So I'd say like during the week, I ideally am seeing like 5 or 6 people a day, which is I used to see like 8 to 10. And
Yeah.
then I schedule time in for having admin tasks. And one of those things I'm really working on that's been a huge help with my overall client care is doing the prescriptive exercise program.
Yeah.
Um, so right now I've been open for 6 months and I have 24 people that I program for. Some of those are clients that I see in person, and some of those are people that I had worked with in the past, and we've continued working together.
Yeah.
So I do need to set aside time during the week to make sure I'm maintaining that. And so, that's one of those things on Thursdays. Like I do give myself a couple hours of like, all right, I'm gonna sit down, crank out some programming. But then I will be honest, like I do have a ton of time. Like for me, I really like working out in the mornings. So like when I had my old job, I always usually when you work in the morning in a PT, you're coming in at 7
7, 8.
earlier.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so now I'm just like 3 days a week, I start at like in the afternoons. And
Yeah.
then the days that I now start in the mornings, I just don't start before 7. I start at 8 o'clock because like I can get
Yeah.
my workouts in. And that was something I never used to do. So I was like, I have to be
Yeah.
there. And so it's great. Like I love that flexibility. And yeah, I would say I am pretty avid at being like active. Tuesday nights, I'm done early. And so my husband and I will do date nights different times.
Yeah.
And it's been great.
You're a great example of exactly what I talk about all the time, where we want to bring people in who are looking to um, build their business around their lives, not fit their lives into their business.
Yeah.
And so, like, having, this lifestyle that allows you to have a healthy financial upside for a practicing PT in outpatient orthopedics,
Right.
right? Where we know, like, most PTs are going to cap out at that, maybe 100,000 range, but also giving you the stability of, you said 20 something clients on your virtual roster. That's steady recurring revenue that's coming in every single month without needing any scheduled visits on the calendar.
Right.
What do you feel like that has kind of done for not just the business, but like your mental health in being able to be a provider who has to show up for still 20, 25 clients per week, and just like being a person that wants to enjoy life as well?
So just like in general with having well, I would say a couple things. I don't feel quite as like drained at the end of the week
Yeah.
and I will say like I'm still learning, like I'm only 6 months in. So if I do still have like times where I feel like I'm pushing myself, it's like I'm learning how to adjust that more.
Yeah.
But a couple of things I like about the PEP, I do love, I think it really improves my client, like my clinical care. Like I feel like
Yeah.
I get so much more communication with people. I also feel like it improves my expertise. And it's like, I think it gets that buy-in. Or like, oh, like she really knows like what she's talking about. Like when I'm
Yes.
not just like, I say different times, I'm like, I'm going beyond like your basic, like to get, that higher level, you need that higher level program.
Yeah.
And it is like it's been great to like I think for even a peace of mind, like know that I'm able to make that like revenue. Like honestly, it's almost to the point now where like that's like an extra week. It's like seeing 5 weeks worth of patients in four,
Yes.
which is
Yes.
awesome. So then it's like, right, like my best friend's coming to town in a couple weeks, and I'm like, I'm just gonna take the day off. That's
Yep.
fine. No worries. It's like because I have that wiggle room. And right now I don't have children, but we're looking to start a family in the next year or
Yeah.
two. And I really like that as a small business owner, that's kind of a scary thought of like when I'm not working, I'm not making money, but that's a way I can keep up some. I mean, I'm not going to be making as much, but that's okay. Like
Yeah.
some sense of income while we're in that like kind of maternity like leave phase.
Yes. The biggest key in implementing a virtual offer, what Erin's referring to as a prescriptive exercise program, is you have to structure it in a way where you exponentially make more per hour on that PEP programming process than you would in the clinic. And so, what I see with a lot of people that have blended businesses or hybrid businesses, whatever they call them, where they're doing virtual programming, a lot of times what I see is they're adding it as an additional service to the in-person care, which is just dropping your effective hourly rate. Or they're selling it for 1 hour of time, which is then a proportionate trade for time. And now you're just sitting in front of a computer rather than increasing your effective hourly rate when you're doing that. Um, if you don't mind, Erin, because you've been operating like up and running really in the business. I know we did some like back end work and things like that in the beginning phase, but you started in our community and we've now been working together one on one for I think about like 4-ish months.
Yeah.
Um, Talk to me a little bit about the trajectory of the business, what you kind of saw. I know you just had an awesome month as a solo provider, and you've had some really big milestones as well in the last 6 months. Talk to me a little bit about kind of that part of the business and how you're feeling around all of it.
So I will say, like, when I first started in November, like, that's when my business opened.
Yeah,
I wasn't really sure, like, what to expect. Like, I remember even, like, I was worried about getting people in and my schedule, and there's so much, like, uncertainty.
yeah,
But, I would say, like, it's been really exciting, like, the past 6 months. Um, like I probably hit my break even costs. Like I was really motivated to, pay off like my initial investment to the business.
yeah,
And I remember I hit that break even cost in like February, where I was
yeah,
like able to like kind of pay off like that initial investment that I had made.
yeah.
And it's also like I was still like making, income. Like we were still like
Sure.
eating and going out and whatnot.
Yeah.
Um, so that was like huge. And I feel like I've kind of been able to get into this study, like even like in the lower part of like when I was like less busy or like when it was like a slower time. Like I think my lowest month was at like 14,000. And like
Yeah.
the highest month that I've gotten up to has been like 17,000.
Yeah.
Um, which and then also like is, there are some expenses for my business that are also like
Sure.
that I can like you could argue could be like personal, too. Um, so it's been like that's been like wild just to see how much more I'm making and with seeing like less people
Yeah.
doing things that I want to do. And then I also feel like too, I've been able to like really get across like my message. Like I think that's one thing that I really
Mm.
enjoyed about owning my own business is like when I worked for another company or other companies, they may be portraying a different message than how I feel and how I believe. But
Yeah.
I love that like I'm getting across my values that like my business is reflecting how I feel about working with others and like my standard of care. Um, so that has also been like it's been exciting and kind of seeing to be honest like how the year's been going. We're getting into spring in Chicago. And like
Yeah.
I said, I work with a lot of endurance athletes, runners, swimmers, triathletes. And I'm now getting to the point, and this is under Ray's like help of like I'm starting like a wait list, which I've never
Yeah.
had before. And I was always like kind of ingrained, especially when I was in like a bigger practice. Like you never say like no, like you have to keep seeing people.
Because they're all volume driven,
It's all
right? That's
volume.
the metric. Yeah.
Totally. And now I'm at this point where I'm like, like my like I said, I'm an endurance athlete too. So like I like the summer. Like I want to be
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
So, I think for me, just kind of wrapping my mind around, and we've talked if I want to grow more than a solo provider, I probably could
You
almost
can.
considering that. But even
Yeah,
right
you
now,
can.
just like growing to that point where like I'm getting like busy enough that I have like that kind of like of a wait list is like kind of a wild thing.
Well, and there's nothing wrong with either decision, right?
Right.
That's what I want people to know. But the thing that you need to consider, and I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to
Yeah,
everybody out there,
sure.
but in generalities, right? The thing that you need to consider when you bring somebody else on your team is, do you want the stress of managing another person? Do you want the stress of needing to make sure volume stays consistent so that that person can feed their family and actually afford to work for you, where you are also practicing in the business and kind of pulling some of that revenue, you're a revenue generator as well? Or do you want to be in a spot where there's always pent up demand, where all you need to do is turn this dial and say, I've got space for three, five, however many clients, and they're just sitting there waiting for you? Because I promise you guys, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. When you go to hire people, we see margins drop. We see a lot of things structurally change within the business. And I have a lot of solo providers within our community that are out earning multi-provider clinic owners, right? And those are people that are stressed out. They're thinking about revenue and rent and all of the expenses and all of the overhead. And it's really nice sometimes just have a business where you don't have to worry about that. You,
And
oh, go
so
ahead.
I would say, and that's where having like the PEP, like the prescriptive exercise program is awesome because there are some people that I will, speak with and say, like, hey, like, I'm not sure what you're looking for, but here are some services that I offer where maybe we don't
Yeah.
have to visit as much. I actually have one woman, it works out perfectly because she travels a lot for work. And she was like,
Yes.
this is exactly what I wanted. Like, I'm giving
Yes.
her progressive overload, appropriate physical therapy exercises for her knees,
Yeah.
but I don't have to have her come in and watch her squat to a box or
Right.
whatever. So that's where it's been. And like I do, like return to run programs, building up like your endurance and like, those are more beneficial to do remotely. So I will work with people in that capacity, like to let them know, like, hey, like if you want to be coming in person consistently, here's my wait list. If you're looking for other options, like we can talk through what that would look like too.
Well,
So,
and you had already mentioned this earlier, but it's something that I think is worth reiterating because it was really what I saw when I was practicing clinically was the return to sport programming piece, right? Everybody talks about being the provider that bridges the gap from
mhm.
rehab to performance, but the way that clinics are set up and the way that consumer psychology works, I think we are not set up with traditional clinics to be able to do that, right? People are discharging too early because they no longer see the value in physical therapy. And that's just natural behavior because coming in and doing something that they can now do on their own, that's really where the prescriptive exercise program shines its magic, right? It's like, I'm still going to be guiding you through the process, but you don't actually have to be here. And what is going to end up happening is you're going to end up having superior results because your clients are actually accumulating workload to protect all of the rehab work that you just did. One other thing that was a really cool financial win for you is you did something recently that
Yes.
not a lot of other physical therapists ever do. So, what was that, Erin?
Yeah, the big exciting April update for me was I paid off my student loans.
Let's
So
go.
yeah,
Yeah, that was,
it was a huge win. We like did our taxes and like obviously having some different ways that I've been saving and transferring money as
yeah,
a small business owner. And I ended up having like a lot more that I had saved than I needed to. And I was kind of at that point with my loans where it was like getting closer and closer. And if
yeah,
I kept in my steady, consistent rate, I would have paid them off in the next like 10 months. But I was like, we're gonna make this go away. So
yeah,
that was like such a win because it was, I feel like in some ways that really like there were so many things that like came together of like this work has been working out financially.
yeah,
I've been able to like pay off that like debt. And I feel kind of like free, which is like what's
yeah, that's
cool with them,
huge.
right? In
Yeah,
many ways. So
yeah. What do you, because you were somebody, I mentioned this before, but we started working together, you joined the community, now we've been working together one-on-one. What do you feel like is something that's been kind of unique about us working together? And it could be in either of those periods of time, but what's something that's kind of stood out to you in our time together?
You know, I think the thing that I really appreciate about working with you is you honestly give me the insight into the whole like remote side of
Yeah,
programming. I don't think there's a lot of clinicians that do that. And that's just given me such a like freedom and also not resenting. Like I used to spend so much time programming for people and
yeah,
not getting any compensation. And now it's like I don't mind it. It's like it's work, but it's like I enjoy it more. And
yeah,
I think also the one thing that you've really helped me with, Ray, is like you have helped me realize that I'm in control of my boundaries and my energy and to protect it.
yeah,
Um, and I think like there's different times when I feel myself like I'm pushing harder because it's like my natural instinct, because I've done it for the past like 9 years, is like push harder, see more people, do more. And I
hmm,
think you are kind of giving me the guidance and mentorship to be like, no, like protect your time. Like I feel like
yeah.
last time we met,
Like
go ahead. Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, if you want to push, push,
Yeah.
right? But just know that, like, do you actually want to push? Or are you pushing out of habit,
Yeah.
right?
And
That's
I
a really key distinction.
totally, and I think also too, like just like if when you open your own business, advice I would give is kind of like, you know, figure out what is like what value of compensation or how much time you want to give is going to make you happy because there's always more to do. But I
Yeah.
think like finding like that's kind of where I'm like I want to take Thursdays off is like I don't need to do this. And that being said, like if I ever like wanted to, like I don't have to go into too much detail, but we also had my husband have a significant career change
Yeah.
when I started my own business. So like at the beginning, the career change was my husband, his position was eliminated. So it was a little bit
Yeah.
figuring. So
Yeah.
like
Like a lot of change all at
a lot of
once.
change. So at the beginning, I could like put my head down and be like, let's go, let's get
Yeah.
people in. And now that
You can
I'm
turn the dial when you want to turn the dial.
totally turn it
Yep.
down. So I think like learning how to protect my time, getting comfortable with doing the prescriptive exercise program, and then your sales process too is such a great way for me to I feel like communicate like my clinical expertise
Yeah.
and how I honestly like care about people and not feel like I'm trying to be pushy. So
Yeah.
I think I always
We need to make sure, and this is something that I've really spent a lot of time making sure that we can protect within our community is like you have to figure out how to tactfully weave the necessary parts of a sales conversation, but also understand that like we're medical providers. We have people coming to us and we need to listen to them. We need to be empathetic. We need to not be manipulative in the process. We need to not be applying too much pressure. We need to not be placing, nocibic thoughts in clients' heads to close deals. Like
right.
there's really a protective mechanism to the sales process. And I appreciate you pointing that out because that's something that we've worked really hard to build out.
Totally. And I think as a healthcare provider, like my first thought is I'm not in sales. Well, I'm in sales now, but that
Now
wasn't
you
like
are.
initial- my initial like
Yeah.
thought. And I think I worry about sounding like pushy, but I think the thing is like when I'm telling someone like I think you'd really benefit from a prescriptive exercise program, it's not so I'm like, I'm gonna make this much more on you. It's like, no, I really think this will help you. And I hope you do it because then I can help you even more,
Yeah.
as a provider.
Yeah. There's a high level of conviction, confidence, and congruence in how you're practicing, which really comes across when you make that presentation of how you help somebody. Um, I'm curious if somebody was out there listening and they were on the fence about working together, they were on the fence about starting their business or adding a virtual offer into their journey, or maybe they're struggling and doing it on their own. What's a piece of advice that Erin would give to them, for somebody that is maybe thinking about hiring a mentor, hiring a coach?
So it's actually interesting because I would 100% and my husband would agree with this. Like every like investment that I've given towards working with you has 100% paid off. If not in building my confidence, giving me giving me guidance, and then also just like helping me like have someone to look to when I'm not sure what to do. And I would say this, like, as physical therapists, people look to us for guidance of how to move. So if you injure your back and you're like, I don't know what to do, should I do more? Should I do less? What do what's the path?
Yeah.
As a provider, I am doing that for people. I'm saying, I'm going to take the guesswork out for you. And the other thing I think that we really do that's huge is we'll tell people, like, you are going to be okay. You are going to be okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to take this out of like this is going to be fine. And I feel like you kind of did that for me when I came to you and I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, how should I see people? What should I do? This is unknown territory.
Yeah.
And you were like, I believe in you. You are going to be fine. Do what I say and it will work out. And that's
Yeah.
huge. And I think I can think of some people I've met that have not worked with a mentor. They have that uncertainty, just kind of like when you don't go to PT for your back and you're like, maybe I
Hmm.
did too much, maybe not. Like, and I really appreciate that about you is like that's you've taken that guesswork, you've given me the tools I need to be independent.
Well, I first off, I appreciate that. And secondly, the tools are useless if you don't use them and you don't take them and implement them and experiment with them. And so, almost every client that I interview, I have to give you props for not just consuming the information, but actually going and hitting the ground freaking running. I mean, for you, it's like, every time we talk and every time we'd meet, it was like, this is the thing that I'd like you to do. And then, you're following up with me in our communication channel of like asking me questions about, hey, I did it like this and this happened. What's a tweak I can make? And that is the best thing that a coach, a mentor could ever ask for. So thank you for being a great client as well. Um, if people want to connect with you, find you, learn more about what you're doing, what's the best place for them to do that? Probably somewhere on Instagram, yeah?
That would be great. Instagram or shoot me an email. Either one would be fine.
Do you know I always like don't want to put people on the spot. Do you know your
Yeah.
Instagram handle off the top of your head?
Do I know it? Please. So it's Erin.short.dpt.
Great. Erin, thank you so much. It has been great being able to have this conversation with you, share your story, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens when you hit the year mark in your business,
Yeah, I'm pumped.
because maybe we'll have to do another interview that's like the 6 month follow-up of short PT and performance. So
That'd be
thank you so much,
awesome.
Erin.
Thank you very much for everything.